Hi. I would like to invite all my friends, I would say, for the panel discussion. And I'm sure they're extremely nervous about what's going to happen now in the next 20 minutes. But anyway, let's have fun, I think. I'll have Agui come in. She's an interior designer. She has her own studio, Agui Vora Design Studio. Sorry. Stop it. Okay, we have Kumpal. She's an interior designer. Name of the studio is Purple Backyard. We have Samir Vadekar, who's a grumpy stylist, but he's the best we have here. We have Ella Das, who basically is a writer. She writes for Elle and AD. We have Farah, the stunning designer. Chestnut Stories. And we have Shilpa, who's the colorful designer from Studio Osmosis. Thank you for really taking time and coming here for this session. It means a lot. Um, okay. My first question goes to, okay, let's start with Kumpal. Uh, yeah, for you first. How do you go about designing a space? What are the factors that are involved in developing a concept or an idea for a space? How much do the clients have that influence in it, or is it you? How do you go about that?
Wow, that's a long one. Um, hmm. Hi, everybody. This is Kumpal from Purple Backyard. Um, how do I go about designing a space? I think for me, what's important is having fun, decoding what the client really is talking about. Listening is one of the most important things I start with. Listening to what the client wants, is expressing. Sometimes they don't really know what they want, but they are sort of, showing you some images. AI also being a really important part these days. Um, they already have images that they have looked up, created, and will bring to you, and sort of not being offended by it, but just sort of taking it and listening to what, or sort of decoding from there. What are the factors involved? I think I do have a strong sense of what my design style is. It's really tranquil, meditative. I like spaces to bring a sense of joy, create a sense of flow. The house, the space, whatever it is that I'm designing needs to look like it's one whole and not really like 50 different parts bought from 50 different design styles. So I think that's really important. And what is the other part of this? What are the factors involved in a concept?
Client.
How much? So I think because I listen, because I want to definitely give them a space that is an expression of what the client personality or what the client is about, because ultimately they are the homeowners or the space owners, and they are going to be a part of that house more than I am. It's really important for me to have their personality shown on the walls in the space. So it's definitely Purple Backyard, us who designed the space, but keeping in mind them being at the center of what we are evolving this story around. So I think that's my idea of how I go about it.
Great. Farah, what is your design style? Like, owing to this question.
So even for us, when we start like going about designing a space, it's always understanding the client's brief. While that's important, like just as how we were talking about not just AI, but Instagram, Pinterest.
Yeah.
So the clients come with an array of references. And it's cute, it's nice that they are enthusiastic, but not all pictures are in sync. So I think we start off with the whole thing of decoding what is it that they're actually looking at. Sometimes they come saying we want modern Indian. You put a mood board together and then they send you references of modern contemporary. So they don't really understand the terms when they use. So I think for us, we start off with that to say, okay, you share your references because
Correct.
maybe what you are trying to say is not what you actually want.
Yeah.
And then from the 100 pictures they send, you somewhere sense and figure what they're actually leaning towards and what you
Yeah.
need to filter off. So then that's how we start. So we understand, okay, this is their mood, this is their look and feel, and then we start with our whole mood board process to just make sure we're in the right direction. And then I take it organically. So like Ahana was saying, for one of their projects, it's not like they did their renders and they said, okay, now this is the sofa.
Yeah.
So whilst we do that for a few projects, I enjoy keeping it more organic. So I like keeping it as, okay, you show them a design brief, you show them a render for them to understand. This is the look and feel, but I may not give you the same sofa. Yes, I may, but a home predominantly like takes a year, couple of years.
Yeah.
So many new designs come into thing while we are closer to handover, which is like, say, your furniture takes technically up like maximum is about 6 months. So I always tell my clients, let's keep this for the end. I can't design saying this is your mood board 2 years ago and then say now you close it.
Okay.
Now this is what you'll get 2 years later. So I enjoy designing it that
Yeah.
way. So I think that's how we go about designing spaces. What are factors that are involved in developing a concept? Okay, I think I've already shared how we start. And how much of it the clients or online influence? A lot. I think all these 3 questions were answered by me.
Okay, great. Ella, since you see a lot of projects coming your way, do you think that because of Pinterest or AI or just certain trends that people follow, I think it gets thrown to you in some manner? Do you think all these projects have started looking very similar, and like you can't tell the difference of where the house is located in which country or in which city, I guess, but suddenly like everything just looks same? Like I feel like when you look at a designer, if you like from far away, you know this is the designer, but sometimes these days I just feel like I need to know who's designed this space. What do you feel? Because
So, to give you all context, I write about homes and home design and art, and I get quite a few projects from designers every day. And I mean, I was talking to Sonam a few days ago, and I told her very often, and all these houses are beautifully designed, and every designer, of course, puts in all their best work in every home. So, that's not the case. The thing is, we very often see homes, and I may have seen, let's say this third home or the fourth home, and then I'll see another home after a few hours, and I'll think, wait, I just saw this, and I'll be like, okay, no, it's something different, because yeah, there'll either be a trend that is being followed. You'll just see, white walls and cane furniture and terrazzo and all that, but you can't tell which city the home is in, and this is a problem. If you see the biggest cities in our country, like if you see Delhi, Bombay, I mean, now we are becoming quite local. Very lot of homes in these cities, you can't tell if you're here, you're overseas. Even homes, people get holiday homes, let's say in Himachal or Kerala or something. Some of them have a distinct style of that state, or their families' history shows, and those make for really, truly beautiful, unique homes. But then there are some you don't know where you are, and again, they're beautiful homes, but I mean, when you walk in, you're not intrigued. The best thing about walking to someone's home is where you're itching to ask them, where is this from, and where did you get that from? And then you feel rude because you just keep asking them, where's this from, where's this from? And that is what you should try to, and it's not the designer's fault at all. It is, in a way, something the homeowner should look at. Because, again, when I'm writing about a home, it's usually I'm, interviewing a designer. And it's just that first part of the article where sometimes we do get to speak to the homeowners. And that's the point where the homeowner can speak the most. And the first question I ask them is, tell me the history about your home, and, tell me what your vision for the home was. And very often they just say, I wanted something different, and I wanted a lot of space. And, I wanted a beautiful home. And everyone does want that, but it would be interesting to see their family history. That's something that's like your fingerprint. You can't replicate it. So in a way, yes, a lot of the homes are beautiful but very similar. And it would be nice if we got to enter someone's house and actually see their story, see, where they came from,
Yeah.
what their family was like, what they've collected through generations also in their family. You can't replicate that. No amount of money or travel or any of that can replicate that.
Yeah. So, Mir, what is your take on this? I know you push a lot of Indian art and culture in everyone's houses, and I think it's fantastic. But what is your take on this?
I think I have had the privilege to visit probably hundreds of houses around the country, but I do in a way find a different essence in a house based on where it is located. Say, you are more likely to find a Tanjore painting in a certain region in the country.
Correct.
You're more likely to find, say, a Pichwai in a different part of the country. And when you visit these homes, as Ella said, you have to see a sense of where you have come from.
Correct.
And most of the houses you see nowadays are new, and everything in it is new because people probably want a fresh start or a different life, or as she said, that we just wanted something different. But just by being different, you end up being the same
Correct.
because
Yeah.
you lose what makes you you.
Correct.
Probably like all of us, maybe if we go to a store,
Yeah.
we are likely to buy something very specific to us. You can all enter maybe let's say a Zara, but you can pick up different outfits.
Correct.
But when it comes to sort of homes or interiors, there's a sort of a cookie cutter palette involved. People want a specific piece of furniture, aesthetic, because they are approaching it from a new perspective rather than looking at it from the past. When we are looking at it, when I always say it's the hardest for us to design or do anything for our own homes, and the only reason is because we are looking at the past. We don't look at the current, present, or the future. But with a homeowner, that's what they usually do. We have got 500 things in our mind, and but if you want to pick a chair for your house,
Yeah,
it's
very
literally
difficult to-
impossible. But that's what I've noticed across the country, that if you have a family or a client who is in touch with their roots, or who likes the past, or who has a beautiful home currently, but they just want to upgrade themselves or evolve or just have a different perspective, then it's a lot easier to differentiate between like a cookie cutter new house
Yeah.
versus like a evolved house.
Correct.
And that's what I feel that people should approach design as, like evolving rather than just changing into something different.
Absolutely.
And even when I am, say, styling or decorating or staging spaces, I always look at pieces first. I don't know where they're going to be placed. Like people keep asking me, like, where are you going to put this? I was like, why are you worrying about this now? Just buy it. And where will it go? I was like, it's okay, it's fine. If you use it, we'll use it. If you don't, put it in storage, remove it after a while.
Yeah.
You're buying a product for what it is rather than where you're exactly going to put it. It can even be a piece of furniture. Sometimes we have bought like chairs, side tables, or even coffee tables. You can use it in your lounge, your living room, your bedroom, anywhere. You're buying the piece for what it is. If you like something, it's similar like when you're buying clothes or shoes. You don't think about like, I'm going to wear this for this dinner or for this lunch, or you just buy it because you like it. And sometimes you wear it, sometimes you don't, or you wear it probably every day. And people have to look at interiors in a similar way, where you're buying a piece for what it is, rather than fixating so much about where I'm going to place it. And that's what will make a house different.
Fair enough.
So, I think coming to what you asked also, many clients now, because of, your question about how, whether it's Instagram, Pinterest, and these pictures, I feel like, the clients are getting so confused and lost
Yeah.
that they are very fixated on what their space should look like. So like how Samir said, where they ask, but where is this chair going to go? But what are you thinking? So I feel like this overexposure to social media, as good as it is, but it's really confusing the clients where, they are losing out on what their innate nature is. What is their culture? So I remember even like quite a few years ago, if you have to even like go about even 7-8 years ago, when Pinterest, Instagram, I don't know if it was there or it wasn't as popular.
Not as much, yeah.
Clients actually went with the flow. They come and say, this is what we want. This is the color palette. And then you move organically saying, listen, hey, this chair's nice. You just send them a picture saying, shall we pick it up for one of the spaces? And they used to go with the flow, trusting the designer. But I feel now with this overexposure, they're very fixated. And somewhere I feel we get their personality is somewhere getting lost. And I guess as designers, that's where we have to come into the picture and just pull them back and say, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's explore more.
What do you think, Agui, about this whole conversation?
What we were talking about the other day and what Sameer said about Zara. That's what is a problem today, where the personalities are getting lost and all the homes are looking the same. Recently, we had the privilege to design a home for a young family that lives in Italy. And we spoke to them about how do you want to go about your house in a similar manner, that it's not just what I want, but I also listen to a lot for what my clients want. And luckily enough, they said we want to go back to our roots. So we explored the whole era of post-colonial interiors and architecture, and we did go around finding a lot of vintage pieces, putting them together, restoring a lot of it, and it was beautiful. And it really made me realize that we have so much history, rich culture that we inherently have in this country. We have so many Art Deco buildings to be inspired from. I live in an old Art Deco building, and I see the moldings and the flooring, and of course the house is done before I came in, but unfortunately I feel like, oh, why did we let go of these windows, and why did we go ahead and put aluminium windows, and why did we get rid of the flooring and
Correct.
put another marble on it when we had the beautiful terrazzo flooring. So I really think that yes, trends are globalizing now, with Sameer's point also that there is a lot of democracy with design. It's open to everybody. There is a lot of access. But I still feel like, okay, that could be a starting point, but not losing the entire story and navigating via that is vital.
Shilpa, what do you think?
Hi, Shilpa here from Studio Osmosis. I think you've heard a lot from Sameer about how our studio functions, and and I know most of us are probably focusing and talking about designing residential spaces. We kind of keep different approaches when it comes to residential, commercial, restaurants, because we do a lot of restaurants. There's a very different approach when you're designing a restaurant. The brief is very different. Clients are probably 50 people who are going to be entering there, the chef, an office, for example. It's not just the owner, but it's your employee. In fact, every staff member. So I think the key for us is to really understand the user. Who is that person who's going to be using this space? How is he really transitioning? Like in terms of even, is it a day space? Is it a night space? I think the time of the day also really, really matters. A place where you want to go during the day and work versus sort of settling in when you're going back home, or a restaurant or a lounge. The vibe probably needs to change 360 degree. And so these are the questions we actually ask. So we actually have a very detailed 10-page questionnaire that we send out to every client, be it commercial, residential, hospitality, or even healthcare. And we try to understand if it's one user, or we ask them to pass it on to their team, their staff, or for a restaurant, we may actually ask them to take feedback from the customers. Like if it's a chain, we actually get them to do that from previous customers. So that helps us understand what they are looking for in terms of functionality, in terms of the vibe. And then we kind of incorporate that in our planning, in our functionality. I want to give a very interesting example of one of the a sneak peek that Sameer had shown, the screen. When this client came to us, instead of us giving him a 10-page questionnaire, he came to us with a 15-page brief. And that was their entire life story. And believe me, it was one of the most interesting, most fun, and most challenging projects that we've had. And we still, when we have a dinner with that client, we talk about the entire process and the nights, and we would get emails from him at 3 a.m. with the same level of detailing through the entire project. But those 15 pages were his story. His wife's, his child's, his parents. And they came from two different communities. So their background, their culture, and even though they really wanted a luxurious modern home, they wanted to bring in their culture and where they've come from as a story in the entire house. So we used things like furniture pieces, art, decor. Like the screen is actually an inspiration from their marriage card, which had the lotus and the pichwai, and they love the pichwai. So we actually ordered artisans from, like we met people from Rajasthan who did mirror work, or we got Nadwara paintings. So we actually understood them, worked through this entire process, and then created this space for them. Obviously, functionality in Bombay is key, so you cannot let go of those things. There were thousands of storage requirements and all of that, and we all understand that, considering the difference between a space in Delhi or Bombay, or somewhere where you're paying maybe nowadays 1 lakh rupees per square foot. So I think every square inch matters, and it's not fair as a designer to say, oh, I want to use this space for no function, because they are really paying their life for it. So I think the balance of all these things is what we truly believe in terms of the storytelling and understanding. But for us also, understanding the client at the first phone call. Like I do a 45-minute phone call before I even meet a client. We try to just understand them, who they are, because the more you talk to somebody as a stranger, you start opening up slowly. And then that same process happens in the first 5 other meetings. And I think that is what opens up the story and the concept for the space for us. And the same thing applies for a residential or a commercial or a hospitality space, which is why I feel like even if it's in the same building, like we've done 4 flats in the same building, but they all look drastically different from each other, because it is us visualizing their story and their life for them. Obviously, we have a taste and an aesthetic, so we want to do that. If there'll be a client, there was a very interesting phone call that I got where this lady said, I want every room of mine to be designed by a different architect, because it all needs to look different. I spoke to her for 15 minutes just for free advice. I said, you know what, obviously we are not doing it, but do not make this mistake. Do not do this with anybody. So, yes, different, not, no. Different firms to do every room, because each room needs to look different. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we get all sorts of these things.
Yeah, I have like clients requests coming and telling me that sometimes I want a New York house or a Scandinavian house, and it's really difficult for me to explain to them. I mean, I don't know if you stay in any of those countries, and neither is the site in that country. But as you said, this whole sort of Pinterest or whatever it is, I don't know how it's changing the way we approach or we give our concepts to them, because I think they've just come with a fixed mind to us saying like, I want this. Now, are we the contractors or are we the designers, or where do you put your foot down saying, you know what, this is my design and we're going ahead with this, to that notion that you don't sound rude or anything? What are your, do you have any of these sort of experiences in your firm?
I feel like as a studio, what I practice is being India proud.
Yeah.
So when they come, for the first meeting, I also have a lot of products that we've created out of Indian stones,
Correct.
Indian woodwork, some art from somewhere, and sort of displayed it to possibly look sexy, look aspirational.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of clients come in with this idea of we want this New York apartment style, or we want this XYZ, because that looks aspirational. That you want to, in a world where we all want to travel, we want to escape. So I think we are building homes for people, or spaces for people that also are seeking that escape. So I feel if we can sell this India story, but sort of globalize it,
Yeah.
and make it look a bit more sassy, sexy, I think that's what we are aiming to do, and hoping that as designers we still design it and we don't let the contractors and the clients sort of take that conversation away from us. So I guess you got to make the cake look yummy for the client to be interested
Fair.
to at least give it a shot. So I
True.
think that's my take.
But I think there are these instances, I don't know, I'm guessing
Yeah.
most designers must have gone through it. You're already like neck deep into a project. Too late, you can't now back out, everything's happening. And then the clients start hounding with these pictures saying, but I want this wall. but I want this. And you try saying, sir, but this won't work
Yeah.
out, or ma'am, this won't go. Again, after 2 days, but think, no. At least I have reached that point a couple of times that I'll be like, just give it, yeah. Just give it to him.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like, just give it now. You know, as much as your heart breaks, I'm sure we've all been
All
through
all
that at
gone
some
through
point.
it, and it happens to the best of us. So, but I guess you can't be bothered by that 5%, right?
Can't.
Like, okay, fine, it's your home, have it.
Can't, yeah. But I'm just saying,
But
it's
yeah.
happened to all of us, where, you know, they
Yeah.
show pictures and you're like, stop the kitsch, just give it to them.
But I have a very funny thing. Sorry, I have a very funny thing to say to this. And there have been so many designers. Like, let's say it's a 3-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house, and I'll obviously do a walkthrough with them when I'm interviewing them. And at some point, you know, there'll be one room. They'll say, "Can you just not feature this?" And then they'll just tell me off the record. They'll say, look, the client wanted this, and I advised them, this is what I didn't want, and then just be like, just don't feature this room, it's not my work. They just had a Pinterest board and they wanted me to replicate it, you know, or they just wanted this, they were also not happy, I was not happy. So yeah, this happens to almost
So
every...
in addition to that, and I think, I don't know, and we've been, I think a lot of us contemporaries talk about this aspect, and it is, and since Samir is here, Ella is here, I think there's this whole aspect of shooting the house, right? And you are photo shooting the house or a space to obviously make your portfolio, because you cannot, you know, take people into your previous projects, and it's not possible. So how do you build that? And especially for somebody who's a fresher, who's completely like new, how do you do it without shooting it? Now, they have probably gone in and brought in 50 showpieces or decor items out of collection, memorabilia, attachments, or just hoarding. I mean, and then you go out, and we all know there is this huge cleanup that happens. And somewhere we have this constant dichotomy, you know, that we're doing this. Sometimes we're changing bed linens for shoots. Maybe the client has bought the linen, maybe the client hasn't. A lot of our
Maybe it's
clients buy it
rental.
after seeing the pictures. So that also happens. You know, they realize that, wow, it looks so beautiful because you set it up for us, and even though I didn't agree to buying it earlier, but I think this is what we need to do. And then, of course, some of them say, we don't need it.
Yeah.
We don't live like that, which is fair enough because it's their house, their life. But I think this entire process of documentation, shooting, styling, there is some bit of gray area to it. You know, there is a percentage that you can style and shoot and within the realms of what the house was supposed to be as a concept versus completely turning the house 360 degree. And I think that is where we as designers, and when we work with stylists and, you know, people who are shooting, and we need to say that, no, but I need to leave this because this was the design and this is the concept and this is how they live here. And if I don't show this, then what's the point even, right? And because we designed this space called Rescue in Pune, which is basically a space for animals that are treated. And what I realized is that you are giving them the shell, but the space is actually growing over time because of the animals, because of the way it is being used. And you're not really doing it on day one. It is actually growing. And some of our clients come and say that, I don't want to fill up the walls because I want to put these paintings as we go travel, pick up from the world. But obviously for a photo shoot, we might say, oh, we need a painting there.
Yeah.
So I think there is this gray area, and we don't talk a lot about this, but I think it's all there, and all of us designers are going through this.
Yeah.
Also, the thought that comes to my mind when we are, you know, editing images for the shoot or styling them for the shoot versus how they are in reality, aesthetically they look the same. But how, you know, we sometimes don't want the fans, want to hide the ACs, want to not have the TVs, but the TV is there when you possibly might take their friend to sort of show the house or one of your friends to show the house, and they'll be like, wow, you know, the space looked amazing in the photograph. Oh, but in reality you do have the fan. I was wondering, how do you live without a fan in Mumbai? And I'm like, yeah, I'm also wondering, how do I solve for that debate? So, you know, not just the personality and what they want and not want, but also we are now getting into a zone where Pinterest, what we see, what we aspire, is sort of altering our reality when we are ready to suffer through that April, May of Mumbai, but we want the vibe of Paris. We'll turn on the ACs, we'll switch off, so yeah, I think, that I just wanted to add that, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Agvi, you're really silent.
So I also think that this whole thing of seeing Pinterest with a lot of panelings in all the houses, and then clients wanting it, I just sort of, maneuver it, the whole process saying, this is going to cost you a lot of money, let's not do it, and let your walls breathe. And that's what we need in Bombay,
Yeah.
because there is such little space and we are always struggling with, anyway, with every inch of space, like Shilpa said, it is a lot of money, it is a lot of hard-earned money that the clients are also paying. So putting my foot down, I would say I do listen to the clients very patiently, slowly learning. But there is like that 5% that I also give in to, because ultimately they have to live in this space. But I keep pushing them to find their personalities, how the family lives, work around that, rather than just taking an image from Pinterest and making the home look just like a reference image.
No, fair enough. Samir.
But this very funny story. So I was doing this large house in Anand in Gujarat, which is a city between Baroda and Ahmedabad. And this house is massive, massive. Once had gone, say, from the living room to a different bedroom to get something, and I forgot why I went in the room. It was that big. And that is also me. But it's huge. And in the first phase, which was a few years back, probably a year back, we went out shopping and sourcing, buying art, furniture, accessories, rugs. And I did up the common spaces, like the spaces that probably they call the show spaces, which are say, the living room, the TV room, the lounge, the outhouse, like those kind of spaces, but didn't really look at the bedrooms. And now the client came back to me and told me that I want the rest of the house to look like that, because that is where we feel the most comfortable, because it's personal, because we went through that effort of going through a dozen different places, buying like pottery, artifacts, and I have this thing about not buying everything from one place or even one city. So we, for the first phase, we had gone to Kochi. So for the second phase we went to Rajasthan, like Jodhpur, and then we came back to Ahmedabad, and then we shopped from Bombay. So then we go to different places, pick up different things, and as I said that, don't ask me where I'm going to place this. If you like it, buy it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. And I don't want to say that I bully
It's good
them,
to be you, Samir.
but I don't bully them. But then I just strict but sweet, that no, we need it. Like, or I just say that it's in the budget when there is no budget technically, but it's fine. And even when I'm picking pieces, I'm conscious about how much they cost.
Yeah.
I, rather than looking at things from is it cheap or expensive, I look at it from a point of view that is it worth it?
Yeah.
If it's worth it, buy it. If it's not, I'll be the first person to tell you this 200 rupee thing is not worth it, or this 3 lakh rupee thing is not worth it.
Yeah.
But then that's how you sort of, like as Shilpa was also saying about the story, that's how the story comes across, that we went together, we saw this, we like this, and they have this sort of faith and trust in you after a point of time, after your first few initial visits, where they know that, you know what, you'll figure it out. I can't understand what you're going to do with this, but I trust you. This was
That's
in the
great.
second phase. He said that I never thought you would put something like this and do something like that, or incorporate, say, a Naga table with a contemporary Italian piece. So the second phase, we just blindly were just like buying things when I had a basic idea on what I would do.
Yeah.
But that's how I personally function, is based on the objects, the product. Because I don't do any civil work. I'm not involved in, like, say, the flooring, the ceiling, or those walls or anything. But it's about like populating the house with beautiful pieces. And the way it should be done has to be extremely, extremely fluid. You can't sort of have this mindset. And as Shilpa also said that during a shoot, even when I'm shooting a space that I have designed, I declutter. Because I look at it from a point of view whether there's a big difference between being in an actual 3D space
Yeah.
and
2D,
translating that 3D space into a 2D image. And when I'm shooting a space that I have designed, I will move things around, I'll change it. even I'm doing the same thing, even if I'm doing it for somebody else, because in the end, you have to separate an image from a space. Like none of us look like this on a daily basis. Like if you look at us in the morning or in like 4 hours, it's very different. But because of the context,
That's
no,
true.
but it
His
is,
hair is not done.
but it is the context that you're looking at, like the context of an image. You have to look at it from a very different point of view. And when you're seeing an image, you have to look at it like 500 people are going to look at one image. You can't have it so personal that you
Yeah.
cannot see yourself in the space. And we all have inspirations or mood boards. We all look at, say, Instagram, Pinterest, and the images that we sort of gravitate towards are spaces that we can imagine ourselves living in. Or we can say that, oh, I would like to live in this. And having said that, I always tell people that, all my clients, that it's okay to really love something or be passionate about something, but knowing that this will definitely not work in my house.
Yeah.
I love, say, French furniture, like an Ormolu clock. I appreciate it for what it is, but I know not for a second will it fit in my house, or would I want it to be in my house. Or dusting it, or like practicality, or like aesthetics. And having that fine line between appreciating things for what they are, rather than would I want it, would I
Correct.
afford it, where will I place it. And when you change that sort of perception of things, then you're more open to being flexible with design or aesthetics or creativity or pushing people to get different things. You have to tell them you like it, it's fine. If you don't like it, it's fine. But like be open to liking things rather than entering a store and being like, I want a chair, I'm not going to look at tables. Or I want something classical, I'm not going to look at anything modern, or vice versa. And those sort of things, like how you said you have a conversation with the client, that should be the key starting point. Like that's how I start. I was like, we are going to look at things, and when we like them, we will buy it. It's
Yeah.
not about where I'm going to place it, because then it alters. And as everyone said, that it's a fluid process, as Ian Farah said. You can't like think about 2 years or like this in advance, where you start fixating. And I feel that is the drawback of reference images. You fixate or renders even. Like it's
Yeah.
better to, as Samir said, that having sketches where it's more fluid. You have a sense or an idea of what it is rather than fixating and saying that no, the wall will be like blue or green, or as Hana showed in the renders. If they would have fixated on that specific render and they would have translated exactly as that, it would have failed as a space. But then she can read it and say that this doesn't work in a render. This is how it's going to work, and the context of the space. It's a public space. It's going to be used by hundreds or thousands of people, and you have to factor those elements also. And I feel that that's sort of the issue with having too many fixated references or images in your mind, even for us. That's why it's so difficult for us to do our own personal space.
Houses. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I think he added one very important point, which was trust.
Yeah.
I think when you have a client, you are basically starting with speed dating.
Yeah.
In a few months, you are in a proper dating relationship, and then by probably 6 months later, you are a live-in. And that is when they trust you, and they are like, okay, we'll go with the flow, we understand, they trust every decision. But it
And the
is that,
process becomes much faster.
yes,
when
and it is
happens.
that trust that you're building. It's just that it takes time, and because you're meeting strangers probably for the first time who've come through, you know, either the internet or references, or and you're different personalities, so you are sort of,
Come.
like I said, dating and then learning to live with each other. So I think eventually it's all about the trust that you can then say yes, no, okay,
Yeah.
and then that percentage keeps increasing. I mean, what they agree.
Fair
The
enough.
thing is, the way we process information or data is very different from how the client processes information. So I buy a lot of antiques and vintage pieces. So when I travel to say like Kochi, these warehouses are bigger than this, filled with thousands of pieces. I joke that it's finding a needle in a stack of needles, which is hidden amongst multiple stacks of needles. But for a client to step into this space,
Yeah.
I can understand how
Yeah, it's a bit
overwhelming it
overwhelming,
is. Sometimes I tell them like, listen, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up. I
Eat
can't
some
imagine
food.
what they must be going through.
Yeah.
And that's why that trust factor, as Shilpa said, is key, because then they trust you to find that single needle and be fine with it. It can't be like they'll be asking, no, but why this is old, or this or this is that. That's the speed dating, as she said. In the beginning, it is a bit difficult, but then it's extremely seamless, and they just latch onto it when you sort of make a decision.
This is amazing. I'm gonna wrap up this discussion, and we're gonna start with a fun trivia session. So it's gonna be group of no, two, and there'll be three groups. Can we have the buzzers, guys? Okay, this is obviously technology. There's an app called Game Buzz or some app anyway. So basically, you have to use the buzzer, and we will shift you looking towards the screen at least, and you have to look at the picture, and you have to tell me what the picture is about.
Oh, so we have to buzz if we want to say first? We have to buzz. So press the buzzer if you want to go first. You want to answer, yeah. This is a bit like coffee with Karan, I guess, but the buzzer sounds are all same. Soap with Sonam. Pompidou Center. We buzzed first. I was there last. I was there 6 months ago at the Pompidou Center. I think my son could also answer this. Yeah.
Two points for Samir's.
Norman first, New York. Buzz, buzz. It's not working.
Okay, they buzz. Samir, stop it, yeah.
You have to just buzz. Dal Lake. Dal Lake.
Yeah. It's Kashmir. Okay.
I was saying Dal House, like houseboat at Dal Lake.
Okay, what is this?
Louis Khan.
Azerbaijan, is it?
No, wrong. Come on.
Louis Khan?
Okay, yeah, right. Who's keeping scores? So, can you just repeat it? What you said? This is 4 and this is 2.
Frank Gehry.
Frank Gehry.
We buzzed. Frank Gehry.
You're just buzzing randomly.
But I said the answer too. I have been there.
Okay, fine. I'll look here.
Go
India
Sam, you go.
Madhavi.
Go Sam.
Yeah. They got it. You can't keep buzzing without knowing the answer. You buzz and you're looking at her.
He's looking at he's
Who's the designer?
Kelly Wiesler.
Okay, fine. Next.
New York
Chrysler
Empire
Building.
State Building.
Chrysler Building.
Okay, now this, I'll give it to them.
Louvre.
I am Pi. Pay.
Okay, but Louvre. Fine. Sameer?
Yeah, we got it.
You're like equal, huh? now?
Milan, the square. Milan Square.
Emmanuel Vittorio second.
You'll have to buzz.
Yeah, buzz, hello.
Amsterdam. I know this.
Buzz.
I know it, but I don't know.
I'm very happy. Okay, next.
Antonio Gaudi.
BV Doshi.
Guha.
Gufa. Gufa. Ahmedabad ni Gufa.
Samir, yeah, Samir.
Spain or Portugal? Portugal.
Correct. Yeah.
Jaipur. Jaipur.
Corbusier.
Caboose? Is it Caboose?
But where is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Chandigarh.
That took a lot of time, by the way.
No. Is this Nuru Karim? Karim Rashid. It's kind of mixing Nuru Karim and Karim Rashid. Frank Lloyd Wright's
Falling
Falling Water,
Waters.
the most beautiful
Right.
building.
Okay.
We made it
Right.
here at exactly 5 p.m.
Oh, wow.
It was shutting.
Morocco,
Mexico City.
Marrakesh. Marrakesh in Morocco. Morocco.
Oh, shit, we were here.
This is a.
Barcelona Pavilion.
Yeah.
Don't worry, she's answering everything. She's very good.
Is it MoMA? No. Prangari?
No, not Rangari. Come on.
Is it?
Okay, next.
Is it Japan?
Wrong.
Beijing.
Saudi.
Okay. Sri Lanka.
Baba.
Yeah.
Baba. Bombay Fort area.
The High Court?
Hi.
AI.
No.
Japan?
Oh, yes.
For
Chicago, the bean.
No.
Shilpa's killing.
Bean.
It's called something else.
The cloud
The cloud. Cloud.
gate.
It's called the bean.
But
But it's there on screen.
who's his dressed by?
The
Means
Vasili chair.
Rangari. Rangari.
This May
Mars.
sofa.
Oh yeah,
May
Dali.
sofa.
No, not
But Dali has a
Studio
version of it.
65. Yeah. Next. Who's this light designed by?
Anne Jacobson? No, Paul.
Yeah,
Louis
yeah,
Paulson.
yeah, yeah.
Louis Paulson.
Ella?
Floss, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not
Greaves,
Smeg, no?
Greaves, I think Richard Greaves.
Yes. What is for?
LSC.
Yeah, Michael
Michael
Greaves, but close by. Yeah. Thank you.
This was fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much for